Hey there, Stand Up News here. Welcome back another episode of entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. My mother tried to take over my wedding. So for context, in the beginning of 2020 my mother kicked me out of the house for intimately being with my boyfriend. She said I was a disgrace and didn't want to see me or talk to me anymore. I was already tired of her way of being and was more than glad to comply. My uncle took me in, and I eventually came back to her house, because of my dad. The poor guy is constantly being overpowered by her. He's the nicest person I've ever met. I talked to my boyfriend to use the COVID stimulus check to make a small wedding so we wouldn't have to deal with her anymore. He agreed and we planned to make something really small with a judge and the 2 witnesses, only since COVID was only starting. We didn't plan to tell her until the wedding day was upon us, but someone spilled the beans, and then all hell broke loose. She demanded to be at the wedding because she's my mother, and she has done so much for me. She said that a wedding through a judge wouldn't be approved, and that I needed to get married in a church. For the record, she isn't very religious at all. She then proceeded to call pastors, villas, DJs and bazaars. She wanted me to have a wedding with over 30 people and make me pay for almost everything. She apart a date in a villa, and said she paid $700 as a deposit, and that I would have to pay for the remaining half. She also rented a car to take me to the wedding. And this was also overwhelming. The small wedding me and my boyfriend had planned had escalated so much that I could barely keep up. And while there were things that I liked, like the wedding dress, everything else seemed completely out of proportion. I have always hated parties. I am a complete introverted, and the idea of me having to deal with people freaked me out. And overall, she wanted me to pay for almost everything. She would get mad and throw a tantrum every time I tried to tell her that I really didn't wanted this at all, that it was getting out of hand, but my dad told me to just go with it since it would be the last time I would have to deal with her, and that if didn't comply then he would be the one suffering through her arguments and tantrums. So I complied. Thankfully too, thanks to COVID, the villa cancelled on us, and since it was a week before the wedding every other place was already booked. I talked to the pastor, and he let us use the church for the wedding and to serve cupcakes at the entrance. I got my money back from the villa, and everything else that we didn't had to invite so many people, and now I'm happily married, and with a more stable mental health. My mother still tried to monitor everything that I do though, like where am I, at what time did I got out of work, and what time I got home. I'm honestly planning on moving somewhere else, with a different time zone to see if I can finally get rid of her. Join as a channel member today, and we'll give you a special shout out in our next video, and come to watch this video next, you are gonna love it.